Far south in the Indian subcontinent lived a superhero, or a superwoman as she'd probably have it, in exile. She had hailed from the mightier north, from a tribe of brawn and hotheads. She had inherited some of the hot headedness herself, but she was equal brains as she was brawn. Across the land, everyone feared her and respected her. Nobody dared cross her, for everyone knew of her super abilities. With only one gaze, she'd set alight all her foes. Her wrath was reserved and used extremely judiciously and cautiously, for she was a very fair judge of character, a hard master. Other than that, she was actually quite the jolly, congenial sort. She would laugh at anything and everything. It seemed like she had a lot of laughter inside her. And you'd know she was laughing with all her heart too, with a little dimple twinkling in. The biggest giveaway though was the twinkle of her eyes. And her eyes, they twinkled a lot. She kept herself quiet on most occasions, especially when she was surrounded by a number of people more than she could count on her hands. People thought she was reserved, a stoic superhero. Only a few knew of the secret concoction that would nudge her to spill the beans. It was some giggle fodder rolled into a smooth joint. Only a few knew because, she indulged very, very selectively. But once, when some drags were in and the beans began to spill, she would blabber to her heart's content with passion and intensity. Sometimes she'd well up too, letting a little tear trickle down her face. It was actually quite reassuring to see this superwoman at her most human. A privilege for a few, but it had to be earned. She had other superpowers too, of course. She could choose the ripest and the finest vegetables in the whole wide country. She had the eye of a hawk. Yes, she had meticulously developed it over the years, scrounging the most hip organic markets and the meanest mandis across cities, towns, and localities. She couldn't bother less that the common folk thought her travels foolish. She knew that the power of good discretion had to be toiled for. Another mystical power that she possessed was her expertise in the domain of quote unquote social media marketing. Because no one could find the slightest trace of her presence on any of the aforementioned platforms. She also had a great knack for picking out restaurants. You'd never land up at the wrong place with her around. Oh, and she wasn't just only great at picking out veggies and ingredients and restaurants, she was actually pretty great at cooking meals too. And making countless rotis, no matter how many people there were to be served. Another great super ability she had was she sweat and she toiled, but she never ever complained. She also obviously had some sort of supervision to spot non existent stains. This everyone knew of. She was a great storyteller. She'd understand things in depth and then she'd narrate it back with such style and poise. She'd leave the listener intrigued. She'd talk of science, philosophy, of characters, of emotions. She had an innate understanding of the human condition. That was her most hidden superpower, unbeknownst to all, perhaps even to herself. She had a super intent for empathy and listening. She'd listen with her ears, with her deep heart, with care and with concern. She'd make people feel that they held meaning in this absolutely nonsensical world. She made them feel loved. She made them feel safe. She made them feel cared for. For only a superhero like her could have that kind of a super kind heart. But as the cruel world would have it, she started listening to the bad guys. She got involved with this drug cartel company. Some mafia infiltrated the higher management and started propagating their menial way of living, pretentiousness, false pride, and putting others down. She started listening to the naysayers. She grew underconfident and miserable, echoing the same filthy cries they were trying to pollute her head with. And then she went into exile. Looking at all the chaos and the mayhem that ensued in her absence, the universe sent her a messenger. The messenger said, "Your superpowers have a flip side too. People with the kindest hearts and most empathic ears are prone to doubt as well, because they listen with intent. But know that you are the rarest of the rare gems in the world, and the world would be a sad, miserable place without the light of your being. So get up and charge." She heard him and understood what she needed to do. She just smoothly approached the bad guys and focused her gaze long and strong. And kaboom! And just like that, all was restored to its order. The superhero had returned from her exile. All was well with the world.
Get the fuck lost.